Imagine waking up from a horrific car crash, only to discover that the wife you love has named your newborn son after the ultimate traitor, and she did it while you were bleeding out in surgery. Before we dive into how a 400-year-old family tradition almost destroyed my life, please hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any of our wild stories. My wife comes from a family with a very strict and very crazy tradition. For the last 400 years, the firstborn son in every generation has been legally named Judas. Yes, you heard that right, Judas. They even have a massive family tree framed in their dining room, tracking every single one of them, going back to the 1600s. My wife, Nora, was lucky because she was a girl. Her older brother got stuck with the name and had a miserable childhood. He goes by Jude now just to survive. When Nora got pregnant with a boy, her family lost their minds with excitement. They thought the grand tradition was continuing. Her father even gave a toast to baby Judas. I laughed thinking it was a joke, but nobody else was laughing. I told Nora immediately there was absolutely no way we were giving our son that name. She completely agreed with me. She always hated the tradition anyway. We decided to name our baby Theo and figured we would just deal with her parents being a little upset. We were so incredibly wrong. Her family launched a full-scale psychological pressure campaign. They showed up at our house every single day with new reasons why we had to use the name. They bought hundreds of dollars worth of custom baby clothes and blankets, all monogrammed with the name Judas. They even ordered a custom wooden crib with the name carved directly into the headboard. They completely redid their guest room as a nursery for when we would visit. Her father sat me down and explained that the baby had to have that name to qualify for the massive family inheritance. Nora started to crack under the constant harassment. She asked if we could use it as a middle name or spell it differently. I refused to compromise. When Nora was 8.5 months pregnant, her parents showed up with a lawyer. They wanted us to sign a legally binding contract. They promised to give us $200,000 and a guaranteed inheritance if we used the name. If we refused, we would be cut off from the family completely. The lawyer explained that if we did not sign, we would be removed from the will entirely. Nora actually looked at the papers like she was considering it. I was furious and told them to get out of my house. Her mother started sobbing, and her father told me I was making a huge mistake. Nora and I had a massive fight after they left. She said the money would change our lives. I told her the happiness of our son was more important than money. We did not speak for 2 days. Then her water broke 3 weeks early. She called me from home, screaming that the contractions were close together. I told her to call an ambulance and rush to my car. I drove toward the hospital as fast as I could. I never made it. A truck ran a red light 2 blocks from the hospital and smashed into my side of the car. The whole world went white. I woke up 12 hours later in a hospital bed with a shattered leg and broken ribs. Nora was sitting next to me, holding our son and crying. She handed me the birth certificate and whispered that she was sorry. I stared at the official paper. The name typed in the box where Theodore should have been was Judas. Nora kept talking fast, saying the doctors told her I might not make it. Her parents were in the waiting room the whole time and told her it was what I would have wanted. In her panic, she signed everything they put in front of her. I was so disgusted and heartbroken that I pulled my hand away from hers and told her to leave the room. The nurse had to enforce visitor restrictions to keep her out. Lying in that bed, I picked up my son carefully around all my wires and tubes. I whispered to him that his name was Theo, no matter what any paper said. I started sobbing uncontrollably. Later that evening, a social worker doing rounds noticed I kept calling the baby Theo, despite what the chart said. I broke down and told her the whole twisted story. She listened quietly and then told me that birth certificate amendments were possible but required a legal process. She connected me with a patient advocate named Warren who explained the exact steps I needed to take. If you are hooked on this intense family drama so far and want to know how we fought back against these crazy in-laws, take a quick moment to subscribe. We share unbelievable stories like this all the time. When I finally got discharged, things at home were awful. We pulled up to our house, and her parents had hung a giant banner that said, "Welcome home, Judas." I refused to get out of the car until Nora tore it down. Inside the house, Nora and I were like ghosts passing each other in the hallway, barely speaking as we took turns feeding a screaming newborn. Her father showed up the next morning in a suit. He handed us legal documents from the family trust. The paperwork stated that if we did not submit a certified birth certificate proving the name was Judas within 30 days, Theo would lose his inheritance forever and Nora would be removed from the will. To make matters worse, I called the hospital records department and found out her mother had secretly gone in while I was in surgery and altered our original pre-registration forms. Someone had crossed out the name Theodore and written in Judas. They had planned this ambush perfectly. We realized we needed serious help. We hired a tough family lawyer named Diane, who said we had a strong case for coercion if we could document everything. We spent weeks gathering a mountain of evidence. We saved every text message, every email, photos of the custom furniture, and the $200,000 contract they tried to make us sign. Diane warned us that the legal process would be expensive and brutal. We also started going to couples therapy with a guy named Adrian. Our therapist helped Nora realize something painful. She had chosen the approval of her parents over our partnership during the most important moment of our lives. She realized she had been conditioned her whole life to please her family. That realization broke her, but it finally put us back on the same team. Nora even wrote a beautiful letter to Theo, promising she would protect him instead of sacrificing his identity to keep the peace. Things kept escalating with her family. The brother of Nora sent me a private message apologizing for not warning me about how crazy their parents would get. He admitted the name ruined his life and caused him to be bullied constantly. We tried one mediation session with her parents using a professional mediator, but it was a total disaster. They refused to compromise and insisted they were just preserving their heritage. They refused to admit they had done anything wrong by showing up with lawyers and money. Then her father tried another bribe. He called and offered to pay all my medical bills from the car accident, which were close to $40,000. The only condition was that we drop the legal petition and keep the name. We were drowning in medical debt, but we rejected the offer. We sent a formal message to her parents telling them they were banned from seeing their grandson until they respected our choice. Her father retaliated instantly. He called and read a list of everything we were losing. He canceled the college fund, took away the house down payment money, and completely cut Nora out of the trust. It was a terrifying amount of money to lose. But sitting at our kitchen table, looking at our budget, we realized we could survive on our own. Our son was not for sale. The final straw happened when her parents sent out an 8-page holiday newsletter to the entire extended family. They included a picture of our son they took at the hospital without permission. The caption introduced him as Judas the 7th. Nora was furious. She called her mother and threatened to add harassment to our legal petition. We were entirely done playing nice. The court hearing was the most stressful day of my life. We sat in family court while the judge listened intently as I described waking up from the crash to find my son legally named against my will. But Nora was the real hero that day. She took the stand and bravely admitted she signed the paperwork under extreme duress. She told the judge her parents exploited her terror of becoming a widow to force their tradition on our child. The lawyer of her parents tried to argue it was just normal family heritage and that Nora made her own choice. But Diane presented our massive folder of evidence. She showed the contract, the text messages, the altered hospital forms, and a sworn statement from the hospital advocate confirming the chaotic and inappropriate scene during my surgery. The judge looked at the parents of Nora and asked if it was normal for grandparents to arrive at a hospital with pre-filled birth certificate paperwork during an emergency surgery. Their lawyer did not have a good answer for that. 6 days later, a large envelope arrived in our mail from the county court. Nora opened it with shaking hands. It was the final court order. The judge ruled that the signature was obtained under severe coercion and that the best interest of the child is served by having a name both parents choose together. The legal name change was officially approved. I sat down on the kitchen floor with my cast stretched out in front of me. Nora sat right beside me. We held our little boy between us and whispered his real name, Theodore, over and over again until it was the only sound in the house. We had lost a massive inheritance and her entire family, but we had finally won our son back. Thank you for listening to our story. Do not forget to subscribe for more content.